returns home.
Congress came together to pass a new debt limit deal. I'm Deborah Alfarone on Capitol Hill with how a fiery victory speech could hamper a large part of the president's agenda going forward.
Also, federal prosecutors charge 18 former NBA players with defrauding the league's health and welfare plan.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A Kansas fireman who served in the U.S. Navy during World War II and ultimately gave his life at Pearl Harbor is finally returned home. This is KOAM News at noon. I'm Tanya Bach. Fireman First Class Walter Belt Jr. will be laid to rest in Ellsworth, Kansas tomorrow morning. And as Joe Baker reports, it's a reunion the sailor's family has been waiting for nearly 8 decades.
After decades of waiting, Pearl Harbor sailor Walter Belt Jr. is coming home. Great niece Deneen Urbanek has heard stories about her great uncle her entire life.
I have grown up my 53 years hearing about him every year on the anniversary of Pearl Harbor. And it has been a joy, actually, to work on bringing him home.
It's been nearly 80 years since the Ellsworth native died during the attack on Pearl Harbor, along with 428 other crew members. At the time, the fireman First Class was making sure the motors were working on the USS Oklahoma.
The structure was different than it is today, but at that time, the chief was the highest enlisted rank, and he was one below that in 2 years.
Over the years, the Ellsworth community has found ways to honor their hometown hero, until finally in the mid-2000s, a DNA tracking process began. Once Belt's DNA was identified, it was only a matter of time until he came back home.
I think the family knew it was coming once they pulled DNA. They just didn't know when.
This August, family finally received the call they've been waiting years for. Walter Belt Jr. was coming home.
Overwhelmed and just disbelief that it's finally happening after almost 80 years.
On Saturday morning, a procession ceremony for the World War II veteran will take place in downtown Ellsworth, followed by a burial at the Ellsworth Memorial Cemetery.
Well, if you are starting to miss summer, don't worry. It's back for the weekend. Michael Hayslip joins us with a first look at the forecast.
We're going to get a return for the next 3 days. Now, after that, we're going to get thunderstorms and actually mild October temperatures. But yeah, 3 days of heat, Tanya. And look at this. Our high temperature today already eclipsing what we had yesterday. As a matter of fact, here we sit at the noon hour. We haven't had anything this hot since last Thursday. Been more than a week. And as we take a live look outside of Television City, of course, it has been nothing but low-lying clouds and a whole lot of sunshine. Now, if we get up to that 90-degree mark, we actually haven't had that since September the 20th. So a long time coming here, and we are more than well headed our way. 83, the high number right now that we see in Welch. Whole bunch of 82s, whether it be Joplin, Carthage, Parsons, or Chanute, and then 81 in both Pittsburgh and Miami. No worries on the Skywatch Storm Tracker because we got some high pressure that is hanging just over to the west of us, and that ridge that's indicated right there, when that comes out of the southwest and works its way over us, that is an indicator of the warmer temperatures on the horizon. So I'm still going to say we're going to see a couple 90s. We're not going to see widespread 90s today. Not widespread. We'd have to get up to 93 to break the record from 1979. We're not going to quite get there on this Friday, but I tell you what, by the time we get into Saturday, it's going to get a little bit closer to a record. Even as the clouds grow right there, you go, oh, maybe that'll slow us down. Nope, there we are, Saturday afternoon, right back into the 90 mark. And then Sunday, a little bit better, highs around 80, but look at this that rolls in. Saturday night into Monday morning. And Tanya, we're talking about heavy rain, thunder, lightning, even the possibility of some high wind and hail. Coming up here in just a little bit, we'll update our severe thunderstorm risk map because we've got some movement in that, and also take a look at our high school football kickoff forecast.
All right, looking forward to that. Thanks, Michael. Well, the House is expected to come back to Washington on Tuesday to pass a bill raising the debt limit and avoiding a default. That's because the Senate got past partisan bickering Thursday night and approved a short-term measure that raises the debt limit until early December. Deborah Alfarone has more details from Capitol Hill.
On this vote, the yeas are 50, the nays are 48.
The Senate voted to temporarily raise the debt limit, avoiding a financial disaster.
On Monday morning, I said we needed to pass a bill to address the debt limit by the end of the week, and that is exactly what we did.
Republicans had been blocking the bill, but Minority Leader Mitch McConnell struck a deal with Democrats, allowing them to get the 60 votes needed to break the filibuster.
I understand why Republican leadership blinked, but I wish they hadn't. I wish they hadn't, because I believe we were on the verge of victory.
Instead, it was Democrats claiming victory in the standoff.
Senate Republicans finally realized that their obstruction was not going to work. I very much thank my Democratic colleagues for showing our unity in solving this Republican-manufactured crisis.
Majority Leader Schumer's victorious floor speech may have come at a price. It not only angered Republicans, but it also angered a Democratic senator who is key to passing the president's agenda.
West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin looked on in frustration as Leader Schumer spoke on the Senate floor, later telling reporters it was inappropriate.
Both sides, I'm just saying, it's just the civility is gone, okay? And I'm not going to be part of getting rid of it. I'm going to try to bring it back, and I'll speak out when I see someone do something I don't like.
Democrats need Manchin in order to pass the president's multi-trillion-dollar social spending bill. Deborah Alfarone, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Senator Manchin and Arizona Senate Democrat Kyrsten Sinema are holding up the passage of the spending bill, saying the price tag is too high. President Biden met privately with Manchin on Thursday, and talks are likely to continue as the president pushes for passage of his signature legislation. Another disappointing jobs report. U.S. employers added just 194,000 jobs in September. Economists were expecting a much higher number. There were job losses in local education. The leisure and hospitality industry saw some gains, but restaurants and hotels are having to offer bonuses just to attract enough workers. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, prosecutors unravel a 3-year plot to defraud the NBA's healthcare plan. The latest on federal charges against 18 former NBA players. And later, we're making fun to share breakfast nachos in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen. Federal prosecutors revealed details of an alleged scam to defraud the NBA's health plan out of millions of dollars. 18 former NBA players and one player's wife are accused of taking part in a 3-year scheme to falsify medical and dental claims totaling nearly $4 million. Nikki Batista is following the story.
Some were NBA champions, others longtime league veterans. Combined, they made more than $300 million in the NBA. Now the 18 former players are possibly facing time behind bars for allegedly defrauding the league's healthcare plan for current and retired players.
The leader of the conspiracy was former NBA player Terrence Williams.
According to the indictment, Terrence Williams' plan started around November 2017. He allegedly created fraudulent claims to get reimbursed for medical procedures that never happened. He then recruited other players to take part in the scheme.
Travel records, email, GPS data, and other evidence shows that the defendants who purportedly received medical and dental services at a location on a particular date were often nowhere near the provider's offices when the claimed services were supposedly provided.
In one instance, one player was playing basketball in Taiwan. At the same time, he reported getting nearly $50,000 worth of dental work in Beverly Hills, California. In another, one player and a relative of another falsely reported getting the same dental procedures on the same teeth on the same days. Overall, the indictment says the defendants submitted $3.9 million in false claims. The plan paid them out about $2.5 million.
This remains an ongoing investigation, and we will continue to pursue those involved in this kind of fraud.
The NBA called the allegations particularly disheartening and said it plans to cooperate fully with the investigation. Nikki Batiste, CBS News, New York.
Still to come on the KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
What we're making today is nacho everyday breakfast, but it may become your new breakfast favorite.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete summer weekend forecast.
We're in store for a gorgeous four-state weekend, and with the multitude of events that we have, we got them everywhere this weekend. It's going to be perfect for it. Just be prepared to deal with the heat if you're going to take part in anything that's going to be outside for an extended period of time. Here we are over 7th and Rangeline. Our current conditions already put us at 82 degrees, and the wind, it has not disappointed. That's not a gust, that is a sustained wind of 20 miles per hour, and humidity also as well. Our elevated fire risk really kicks in for tomorrow, but with the dropping humidity this afternoon and the high wind, do want everybody to know that wildfires can cause a problem. As a matter of fact, they've got fire weather warnings out in central and western Kansas. Everything from 78 to 82 here at the noon hour. Now we're going to come close to breaking a few records here, but really we'd have to get up to 94 today to break the records of 93 dating back to 1979. We're not going to get that hot. At the same point in time, still considerably warmer, even 10 degrees in CJ, Carthage, Nevada, and Stockton, from sitting right here at 12:15 to where we were at Thursday when it was 12:15. Beautiful Skywatch storm tracker, and here's why. High pressure riding that ridge out to our west, just kind of blocking that darker color that just kind of hangs over the Rockies. Now, speaking of the Rockies, here's what will transpire this weekend. Top left-hand corner, that low-pressure system is going to make its way off the Pacific Northwest, head toward the Rockies, do a little jump action motion over it. And the key factor is how well can this thing stay together making it over the Rockies. If it keeps together like it is right now, we'll see when we get to the severe thunderstorm risk map what we could be in store with. And on the right-hand portion of your screen, that other red L, that indicates that tropical disturbance that never did become a named storm, but now massive flooding to the deep south and up to the Carolinas. Of course, this coming after the 15 inches of rain that Alabama had in a span of only 36 hours. Ridge of the jet stream helping us out, and there's your trough as indicated where that low pressure was out on the west coast. And so gradually everything, including the ridge, going to move toward the east coast here as we go toward the weekend. But that also means we haven't seen our hottest temperatures of the weekend as of yet. We'll top out in between, say, 88 and 91 this afternoon. And that south wind, it's going to hang around with us overnight as well. Here's a look at our high school football kickoff forecast. If you're going to be on the road at any time today, somebody's got a road game, you are in luck. There's not a travel concern in the world as temperatures range from about 77 to 82, 83. And the wind's still going to be coming out of the south. Kickers, quarterbacks, beware. 25, and twirlers. That's another one that I thought about today. Twirlers with the halftime show. Beware. Southern wind, 25 miles per hour. Here's what we have on Future Track. Even with a little cloud cover that builds tomorrow, we're still up into the 90s. Going to have to get once again to 93 to be talking about a record. And then as we push into Sunday, here's where it gets a little hectic because that large low pressure system, if it hangs together over the Rockies, if it hangs together, here's what we're talking about. High winds, the possibility of hail, plenty of rain coming down right there. And you'll notice as it starts Sunday night and takes us all the way through Monday morning, plan on having some rain during that morning commute because it doesn't want to push off to the east for some time. Severe thunderstorm risk map, we've seen southern motion in the elevated category. Now, as far as what we're looking at in the four states, ours is mostly in the low portion. The elevated drops down to the south all the way to the Red River. That's exactly where those storms are going to originate from. A 7-day forecast shows us after the thunderstorms do roll through, October-like temperatures do return, but also too, Tanya, Tuesday and Wednesday bring us additional possibilities of rain. So while it's going to be considerably cooler, it's going to be considerably wetter than what we're going to have this weekend.
All right, well, we'll definitely be keeping an eye on that. Hopefully it won't get too hot and be unbearable this weekend.
Now it'll be dry. Remember, no humidity. We don't have to worry about that.
Nice. All right, thanks, Michael. We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Purple Heart recipient Jay Hansford in the U.S. Army. The soldier from Hockerville, Oklahoma, joined the 146th Engineer Combat Battalion in 1942. He served proudly until 1944 when he was killed in action on D-Day. To Jay Hansford, we salute you, our four-state hero. Looking for something to spice up your morning routine? Howard shows us how to make fun to share breakfast nachos in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
When the weekend finally rolls around, we often have to balance how much time we need to devote to our to-do list with how much time we can spend relaxing and having fun. With the recipe we're making today, you can start your day with a fun-to-eat breakfast no matter what you have planned. And since it's fast, filling, and really tasty, you can't miss. The first thing we do is scramble a few eggs until they're fluffy. A little trick to get the fluffiest eggs ever: add a touch of warm water to them before cooking them. Then we spoon our eggs over some tortilla chips that we piled onto an oven-proof platter. Over that goes some sliced breakfast sausage, crumbled bacon, fresh salsa, and lots of shredded cheddar cheese. We'll pop this in the oven, and while it warms, we'll get some scallions and jalapenos ready to sprinkle on top. Once the cheese is melted and the chips are super crispy, it's time to dig in. Think of this as a rise and shine version of your favorite Nacho Supreme. To get the recipe for our fun-to-share breakfast nachos, simply visit our website. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found a nacho everyday breakfast way to say, ooh, it's so good.
Well, you can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Here's a look at our 4-state market prices.
Already in the 80s, and we actually don't peak out temperature-wise till about 3:30 this afternoon, so we'll get up close to 90 degrees. South-southwest wind, 20-25 miles per hour. Saturday a little hotter, and remember, Sunday night, that's when the thunderstorms arrive from the west and southwest and take us all the way through late Monday morning.
Well, coming up tonight at 5, new research shows COVID precautions help prevent the flu and other viruses. In Health Watch, lessons from the pandemic for this flu season. Plus, Crawford County residents weigh in on mask recommendations for local schools, and authorities search a new area for the missing Welch girls. We'll have the latest on that case. Join us for those stories and much more tonight on the KOAM News at 5.
I want to thank you all for joining us here on the KOAM News at noon. Tanya and I will see you again Monday morning.
And the rest of the team will see you right back here at 5 o'clock.